Stuart, thank you. All this week in Look East, we're going to be focusing on the subject of travel and trying to answer some of the region's main transport questions. We're calling it Unravel Travel. Here's Andrew Sinclair with the first big question. Is low-cost air travel immoral?
If it's immoral to fly with low-cost airlines, then Stansted Airport must be a den of iniquity. 23 million people flew through here last year. 90% of flights are with low-cost carriers.
I think it's fantastic for me because I'm originally Irish, but I've been living in Cambridge for 13 years now. So at the beginning when I first came here, I didn't get home so often, but now it's really great.
If you've got the money, why not go and visit family or fly around the world?
It enables us to go and have a bit of a life. Why should just rich people be able to fly? It's not fair, is it?
Do you feel immoral?
Not about flying.
The low-cost airlines have revolutionised travel. It's possible to fly to Europe for 20 quid. In a few years' time, you'll be able to cross the Atlantic for 30. But is it right?
Well, immoral is probably too strong a word, but there certainly are major consequences for the ever-increasing use of low-cost airlines. Obviously that means expanding airports, which means less countryside, more road traffic, but also, of course, it means adding to climate change, which is probably the most serious issue.
Complete nonsense. Farm animals account for about 20–24% of the emissions. But you never hear these environmental lunatics going around advocating shooting all the farm animals.
The Bishop of London called flying a sin. His colleague, the former Bishop of Lynn, won't go quite as far, but he says we should think very carefully.
I think it is immoral to fly, for example, within the United Kingdom, but it seems to me reasonable to fly across the continents to the United States or to the Far East, but we ought to really ration it.
It is a fact that carbon emissions from aircraft are growing faster than any other source, by 111% in the last 15 years. In Britain, they now account for 6.3% of total carbon emissions. Lorries account for 5%, cars nearly 13%, manufacturing and energy production even more.
We place all items of hand luggage into the overhead lockers.
The low-cost carriers say they're doing their bit with modern, fuel-efficient aircraft. EasyJet points out that this Airbus emits less carbon dioxide per passenger per kilometre than a car, although it obviously travels much further.
People are going to fly in the same way as people are going to drive and people are going to turn on their central heating at home. Therefore, the most important thing to do is to fly in the most efficient way.
If the number of passengers taking to the air continues to increase, aircraft will still only be responsible for a very small proportion of carbon emissions. But critics say it's an unnecessary increase and it's being fuelled by the low-cost airlines. So does that make low-cost air travel immoral? You'll have to decide. Andrew Sinclair, BBC Look East.